Now we come to the final part of the acronym BLESS, share. How do we share the good news? Now Paul charged the young Timothy to preach the gospel and to do the work of evangelism. So while you pray for others and to God to open their heart and to give you the opportunity to bring them back to God, and as you listen to their story, to show your care and your interest in their lives, and each to build relationship with them, and while you are doing it, and to see how you can serve them to meet their needs in a very practical way. If not, at least you can pray for them. So the last thing that you would do is to share about your experience with Christ. Now, how do you do that? Well, the best place to share is your own life story. That is your testimony. How you come to know Christ. I put it in brief so that you can structure your testimony in a more impactful way. The first part is that how you organize your testimony, how your life was before you come to know Christ. The questions that you have to ask yourself, that how was your early spiritual background and how did it affect you as you grew up? Share your feelings, your attitudes, and their actions and relationships. And another question is, what caused you begin to consider following Christ? And the second part is, how did you come to know Christ? That is, how the day you met Christ. What realization did you come to that finally motivated you to receive Christ? And secondly, specifically, how did you receive Christ? Now, focus primarily on the message you heard or the prayer someone prayed over you and you responded. Yeah, we all come to know Christ either one of these ways. And also, you always remember that you may not remember exactly what time or place that you gave your heart to Christ. And it is okay. All you need to do is to share the season of your life where you began to start the relationship with Christ and how your relationship with Him has changed your life ever since. And lastly, what happened after you come to know Christ? That is, after you know Jesus. That is, how did your life begin to change after you trusted Him? Then, what other benefits you have experienced since becoming a believer of Christ? Now, after you have shared your life story to that person, then you can ask that person back about the story that you have told him. Like, so that's what happens to me. Can you relate to any of it? Or you can say, how about you? What is your spiritual background? Or were you taught in any of these growing up? Or maybe I can ask, what do you believe? Or, that is my personal spiritual story. I would like to hear yours. Or does it make sense to you? So, apart from your personal story, there are many ways and methods that you can share about Christ. Like, what about the Bible story of Jesus' miracle, which are very powerful and practical, like feeding of 5,000, or raising the dead, or demon-possessed man. There are so many others. And what about Jesus' parables? They're also equally as powerful and practical, like the parable of the prodigal son, the parable of the mustard seed, the parable of lost sheep, the parable of the unforgiving servant. Now, apart from these miracles and stories and also the parables, you can also share the story about the Genesis, that's from creations to Christ's story in just 5 minutes, and also many other methods which are made available for you in a small thin booklet. Having said, we all learn as we go along. The Holy Spirit will help you in a different ways which you can never imagine. Remember, while you are working with man, you are working for God. You can be sure someone is waiting for you to tell him about Jesus. God bless you as you share your experience with Christ with someone.